the sweetest apple on the tree. I've got the notion to tell you about.
That would be a bit of a struggle, wouldn't it?
I kind of want to show off the socks, though. Here we go. Get nice and cozy.
Man, oh man. All right. Oh my God,
We're on a time limit. Get it together. Sorry.
We good? Hello. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to our fourth episode.
Fourth episode, yep. Yeah, Between Two Rows, as always. Thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
This month, we're in between two different apple rows. So we have Red Delicious on Christy's side, and then we have Gala on my side. Unsure of what sport it is, but maybe we'll do some digging later in this episode to, you know, I guess quench that thirst of knowledge.
Yeah. Learn more of maybe what a sport is.
Yeah. Yep, fun times. So this is Christy.
Nice. This is Erica.
And we're your hosts.
And this is our October spooky episode.
Yeah, so if you couldn't tell by Christy's bedazzled sweater, I like to say that it's a Halloween disco ball.
A disco ball. It's subtle.
Yeah,
it's subtle.
It's
you
beautiful.
have to really pay attention.
So we're in theme.
Those that are listening though are probably confused. I'm wearing a disco ball skeleton skulls sweater to match our theme.
Yeah, and like the threads are like, you know, just really picking up on that sun. It's really nice. I'm kind of blinded by the skulls. Yeah, it's nice.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything else from an intro side of things.
No, I don't.
That's it. So
you guys know the drill.
We know the drill, and it's harvest season. We're lucky that we've still got the fruit on the tree. Yep. Things are looking nice. These are beautiful fruit. But there may be some background noise because the orchard is busy.
Yes.
This is the time of year. And yeah. But okay, well, our drink, before we get into the questions, our drink today is a little bit different. I gotta shake it. ASMR. We're doing sweet cider today. So this is Wellesley apple cider. When we say sweet cider, meaning that it's non-alcoholic. This is pasteurized, but shaking is always good because there's going to be settling that happens. A little dragonfly.
Your little friend.
He's coming for a drink.
Ooh.
Well, he can just stay right there. That's cute. Okay, so now I'm distracted. Wellesley cider from Wellesley, Ontario. This is made with Ontario apples. Nice cold cider today. But I guess the question of the day, do you like your sweet cider hot or cold?
Depends if there's alcohol involved.
That's fair.
So, I mean, we're in the sun. We're wearing black.
Yeah. Cold is going to be appreciated.
Cold is good, but I feel like, you know, I could like hot toddies are nice in the winter, and
Love it. It's got, that's the joys of cider, is that it's versatile.
You bet. Cheers.
Happy October.
But yeah, we're actually having the sweet cider today to also showcase that the
it's sticking in my head.
I can't see it. Okay. Do you need a pruner?
Hear it when I move.
But we wanted to kind of showcase that the sweet cider competition is coming back to the convention center. So it's actually being hosted during the OFVC.
Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Convention.
Yep, in Niagara in February. So registration is open for that. We're trying to be better about having it open while people are pressing. So just sharing the knowledge on that.
Yeah, so we'll include the link for people to go and register. But yeah, it's always a good event. That we've been doing that since 2012, that we've been having the sweet cider competition. So it's pretty awesome. Oh, he's back. Love this. The dragonfly's back. Yeah, so enter and it'll be fun. The winners get announced social media, so you get a lot of bragging rights. You get yourself a medal to put up if you've got a retail shop or anything like that. And so it's pretty sweet deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm taking one more drink before you start.
I just realized that we didn't actually do like our quote unquote intro, which is where we answer grower questions or
We
audience questions
Are the worst.
between two rows.
The worst podcast hosts.
So we will chronically forget about our tagline. But
Which is
the sentiment is the same.
we're here to answer
We're here.
questions
Yep.
under the orchard canopy. We're enjoying some cider.
Yep.
That's the gist
Exactly.
of it.
Pretty
So okay, so do we want to get into it?
Yeah.
I want to get started. I'm going to go first. We're going to keep with our spooky theme. But I'm going to take it a little personal today.
Oh gosh.
I know.
Expect the unexpected.
I know. I'm going to get vulnerable.
Oh.
in honor of the spooky season.
Okay.
It's a question, one of the questions that I'm asked the most. And I thought that this might be a nice theme to answer the question, to prove it. Okay, so vulnerabilities aside, the question is, why do I like bugs?
Ooh.
I know.
Valid question.
It's a major question. Major question. I think it's obvious, but apparently I need to explain it a little bit more.
I was going to say, some of us aren't really bug folks.
Well,
so
yet.
got some convincing to do.
So anyone that doesn't know me, that my background is entomology. I can nerd out pretty hard when it comes to insects. I really like the applied entomology side. Did you already get a friend in there?
I think it's a leaf. Don't mind me. Oh, I just realized we switched mugs.
Oh, we did. Yay, I'm the big one today. The big apple. I'm the big apple today.
You got the big girl pants on. Sorry. Anyway.
Okay, so but my side of entomology is really the applied part of it. I love to understand and to study how insects interact with their natural environment. So there's that, but there's also another side of me that people, if you don't know me, may not know, that I love all things morbid and dark. So it makes sense that I love creepy crawlies as much as I do. But I thought today, the reason why we're doing a spooky episode is that I could talk about some of the examples, just to show how interesting and fascinating the bug world is, to try and kind of entice people over that, okay, bugs aren't so bad. It's pretty cool when we start to really get into it. So I wanted to talk about two kind of specific examples that apple growers might come across in kind of their day-to-day growing. And may not know it, or may not kind of stop too much to sort of think about what's happening. And interestingly, both are biological controls. So when we talk about integrated pest management, we've got kind of the 5 main facets of controls, right? In terms of chemical control, biological, mechanical, behavioral. Do I have to? The one I want to focus on. Oh, cultural control was the last one. I knew I was forgetting something. So biological control is one of our facets that we kind of rely on when it comes to pest management. But there's some really cool stuff that kind of go into it. So 2 biological controls that kind of show just how sick and twisted Mother Nature also is, which is probably why I love her as much as I do. So the first one we're going to talk about are parasitoids. When people think of natural enemies, a lot of times we think of predators, those things like ladybugs, like lacewings, that sort of stuff, that actively hunt out their prey and eat them, right? Like, they're great, they're really cool, love them. But parasitoids, these guys take it kind of like next level in that they savor the death.
Wow, how beautiful.
Yeah. It is. So when we talk about parasitoids, a lot of times it's wasps and flies. Those are kind of the main ones. And it's not like your kind of typical, we've got like yellow jackets flying around right now. We're not talking about those. A lot of parasitoids are really, really tiny, like down to like even smaller than sesame seeds. Like they are itty bitty little guys.
Okay.
And, but what they do, their survival strategy is pretty remarkable. And so the adult female, she'll lay her eggs either on or actually inside the prey. And they go on with their life not knowing anything, any clue about what's happening to them or going to happen to them. So they continue on with this egg. The egg hatches and the larva starts to develop inside. So this prey then becomes a host to the parasitoid larva. And these larvae, like us superior humans, like to think that these are unintelligent, like lowly life forms, when really this developing larva inside its host, it actively avoids eating the vital organs of its host. So it feeds from the inside out, but it doesn't kill it. It keeps it alive so that the host continues to feed, it continues to live life, and it sustains it while it goes through its development. So it's not until like that larva is ready to pupate and is done that's when it takes the final kill. But up until that point, it's just keeping that alive.
That's
right. Right. But then it gets even more gruesome. Because once it's dead, once it's finally done all of it and everything that it needs to do, then it kills the host because it has to get out, right? And so how else is it going to get out besides busting through the wall of its host and leaving?
That's real alien.
It's alien. It's 100%. If you're looking for low budget horror movie, Google parasitoids emerging from hosts. And you get some gnarly videos. It's pretty amazing. So so they just push their way or eat their way through the outside of their host. So there's something like Trichogramma, our species, parasitoid wasps, that they're really common in a lot of our kind of cropping systems. They're really common to have around. They're also usually the most popular in terms of biological release, right? Okay. For control agents. A lot of people use these. And so they're egg parasitoids in that they're like, the host doesn't even get a chance to hatch before it's done. So they lay it inside the developing egg.
Right.
Whereas you get some other ones, so something like Ophidius colmani, they are aphid parasitoids. And so they leave what's known as aphid mummies. So they basically leave like this like balloon, like they inflate the host. So it makes this like balloon shell of an aphid remaining with a big hole blowing out the side of it. And so you can tell when if you're looking at pest populations, you can tell when there's parasitoids there because you're left with these big husks of aphids, these like balloon husks. So you can get an idea of kind of how much biological control you have around. But super, super gnarly.
Yeah.
So then those go on to then continue to infest other individuals in the colonies, right? So parasitoids, to me, I think of them, when I think of like horror, I think of them as like, they're like the slashers, they're the psychotic, like those sort of things, right? They're that role in the horror movie. But then
that's amazing,
right? But then we've also got another type of biocontrol that's more like possession. You think of like the undead and that sort of thing, right? when we think of biological control, a lot of times people think of like insect on insect. An insect is eating another one, or sometimes it's birds or whatever. They always think kind of big picture.
Right.
But when it comes to biocontrol, things like fungus and virus is also really important and plays a big part in controlling some species. And so it's called entomopathogenic. So if you break it down, entomo, insect, pathogenic, dead, toxic, whatever. So if it's entomopathogenic fungi, it means fungus that kills insects, right? And so what's cool though about this fungus, so there can be some common ones. Some people might have heard of Bavaria bassiana, and that's a common fungus that's around. It's typically more found in like natural settings. In a conventional orchard, depending on the fungicide choice that you're using, you may kill it off, right? A fungicide kills fungus. So it may not be as common depending on the choices that you make for your fungicides. But it is also now an actual biological product. Like it's the active ingredient in some products that people use. So this entomopathogenic fungi, the way that it works is that it would land on kind of the surface, the skin, cuticle of something like a larva. So you could think of like in apples, something like a codling moth or a leaf roller larva, or it could be in something like aphids. And so it lands onto the surface, it attaches onto the cuticle, and that germinates from there. The fungal spores germinate. And what they do is they send these kind of like microscopic filaments into the insect itself. And these filaments travel and spread through the hemolymph, which is the equivalent to blood for us. So it spreads through this and it releases a toxin, which causes some kind of nerve function. It disrupts nerve function. It has an impact on immune response, that kind of thing. So it essentially kills the insects, right? It's a slow death. They kind of go through paralysis and all of that before they eventually die. And so it doesn't sound too bad. It's kind of like, that's all right, I guess.
It doesn't sound too bad.
It's not gruesome. It's fine. But what makes it really cool, what makes it really wild, is that what happens is before this insect completely dies, the fungus basically takes control of its nervous system. And so when we talk about the undead and possession, like we're talking zombie insects, right? Zombie bugs.
What's the show that's with Pedro Pascal?
One of Us, or
no. Anyway, that's what
it's that.
Okay,
100%.
it's that.
So zombie bugs. And so it takes control of the nervous system, and it basically controls their behavior, and the insect moves upwards or to air. It kind of positions itself so that it maximizes spore dispersal. And so
cool.
Sometimes you'll see kind of flies like up on walls or on the leaves or stuff like that in these really kind of precarious, unnatural spots. Same with larvae. And that's not their natural behavior. That's the fungus controlling them to get to a place where once those spores are released, they're more efficient in terms of being able to get other hosts.
That's insane.
Yeah. So once this zombie bug moves to where the fungus is happy, then the insect dies, and then it uses that body to release its spores. And so you're left with kind of this, like either a casing of the insect, or in some cases, like if we're talking virus, because virus kind of acts the same way in terms of using the body as an incubator to release spores, or the viral bodies, you're left with kind of this liquidy mass of the insect. And then those spores disperse to then be able to infect others. So those occur. There's a lot of fungi and virus that occur naturally in the environment, but we do also, like in apples, we use, there's a product that's a granulosis virus, and it's specific to codling moth. And so that virus, it has to be consumed. So it's different than what we were just talking about with the fungi in terms of like being absorbed through the cuticle. Mm-hmm. This has to be consumed, but because the viral bodies are actually activated by the digestion of the insect, But once it's in the system, then it's, again, it kind of like melts the insect and it uses it as an incubator to then produce all these viral bodies that are then released to infect more codling moth throughout the orchard. So it uses that insect to then be able to infect all of the others in the area.
So cool.
So it's pretty wild. Like I said, Mother Nature is pretty sick and twisted. And I am all for it.
And you love it.
I love it. So I think, I don't know, like to me, that question of why do you like bugs? That I want to say, why wouldn't you? Because it's amazing when you look at what they do. As a grower, I mean, we have this going on in the orchard and you can make use of some of this sick and twisted stuff to help benefit your fruit if you know how to support your natural ecosystem in the orchard and be able to encourage these things. So you encourage your natural enemies, you encourage any sort of biological control agents. You think of some of the uses that you're doing and how they may impact some of those things. All of that stuff could be used to your advantage to make a pretty haunted orchard.
Ooh. Or is it a spooky
orchard?
I don't have any questions because I'm like, I don't know what I would ask you.
That's okay.
You covered that so well.
Thank you. I think it's pretty cool. Did I win you over like a little bit with insects?
A little bit.
Okay.
I am a big horror girl,
Yeah.
so I love October and Halloween and spooky, crazy, dark history.
See,
stuff.
okay.
So
it's all
pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, with bugs, like you combine like the creepy crawly, really crazy stuff with like a super cute jumping spider or like a really fuzzy bumblebee, and oh my god, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
You're living the dream. You're so funny.
So that's it. That's me. Now you know a little bit more about me. Thank you for asking the personal questions.
We appreciate it.
So I can find opportunities like this to talk about guts and gore.
Gotta take the wins when you can. I thought it was really interesting. Dang. Well, mine isn't a personal question.
Okay, that's all right. But is it spooky? I feel like we need sound effects. We're gonna have to put in post edit. We're gonna have to put in some sound effects.
Some ghouls,
yeah, right?
Stuff.
We talk about zombie insects, and then this is where the
zombie is?
the lightning is happening. Yeah.
Take some tips from Tim Burton. Rewatch some Wednesday.
Yeah, right.
I just remembered it's called The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. I was gonna say, I know there was an us
based
in
off
it.
a video game.
How many people were probably listening to that and like yelling?
Yeah.
It's The Last of Us.
Sorry. My bad. Thank you. Oh,
You're
that's
welcome.
Really good.
What do you got?
Yeah, so I don't have, well, I guess I do have a question. I'm keeping in the spooky theme. And mine is a question that I get quite a bit, and it's, what is this? And for those of you that are listening, you don't know what we're doing. But basically, Christy and I were walking through the orchard, and we found some apples that have some sections that are different colors. So whether that be lighter or darker, I think I have 2 apples, and
it almost looks like a beach ball, right? Like with stripes.
Yeah,
different colored stripes.
That's a great way to explain it verbally.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get I get some questions about it every now and then. And basically it's a mutant.
Cue sound effects.
So I figured I'd get into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be covering some clones, mistaken identities.
Oh my god.
Mutants and ghosting of growers.
Oh, love it.
Pretty crazy.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, so to answer the question of what is this, I just wanted to start with how apples are actually reproduced, but they're mostly technically replicated, right? So we have Red Delicious on one side, we have Gala on the other. Basically, to get these specific apples, they have to be vegetatively propagated, meaning you're taking wood from the mother tree and you're replicating it through tissue culture or like growing the vegetative growth through buds and then grafting that onto a rootstock and then growing a tree. So if you were to take the apple fruit and plant the seeds,
Right.
you would actually not be getting the same tree. So similar to humans, apples have a very complex genome. So humans, you take two parents, you're never going to get the same child.
Right.
So that's the exact same with apples. And apples actually have twice as many genes as humans.
Oh, seriously?
And we only know about 18% of the apple genome,
No way.
which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
So it's, if anyone's hiding secrets,
Yeah.
it's apples.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
It's pretty crazy.
what more can they do?
Right? It's insane. But yeah, like going back to basically these trees are clones of the mother, right?
Right. That it's the same.
It's
They
the
give you
exact
extra check.
same.
Okay.
We call that the mother tree. So like the Red Delicious mother tree, not sure if she's still alive,
Okay.
but back when they started taking budwood from that tree, that would be the mother tree, and all of them are technically clones, each single tree that you see here today,
Right.
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Creepy,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
but also delicious.
Right?
See what I did there?
I see what you did there. But the fruit are the babies.
The fruit are the babies, and they're never going to be the exact same as one another.
And
Yep.
that's because they got pollinated
Correct.
from a different. Sorry, am I
Yep.
jumping into your?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't covering pollination.
Okay.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it spooky.
Let's go back to talking about mother.
Exactly. So yeah, going off of the apple genome and how like complex it is, the mistaken identity portion is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So basically I wanted to explain or give an example is like secrets like apples should potentially be having paternity tests because
You are the father.
a very not well-known example, but I guess in the apple industry is Honeycrisp.
Right.
So Honeycrisp was thought to be a cross of a Macoun apple and a Honeygold apple.
Okay. Which, by the way, this might be controversial.
Right?
Macoun is a great apple.
I actually haven't had one in a while. I feel like I need a refresher.
Yeah. It's a great apple.
Nice.
There might be some people that disagree, but I like it.
Good for you.
Anyways,
I mean,
yes, put
I
it out
always
there.
say my favorite apple is an Ontarian grown apple.
Mm.
And shockingly, everyone hates that answer.
So not an answer, but whatever.
That's my answer. Anyway, so yeah, I agree. I think Macouns are good. Like
Mhm.
from what I remember having
Yeah.
of them, they're good. I haven't had a Honeygold though, so
Okay.
don't know. But basically, I think this was maybe a decade ago, like 10 years ago. They were really trying to figure out Honeycrisp parents because, as we all know, Honeycrisp really did put the apple industry back into the market.
Completely.
As many people have mentioned, like it can be a difficult apple, but you have to give it a little bit of cred.
Yeah.
Where it's deserved.
Yeah. Like when people think of apples, they think of Honeycrisp.
Yep.
Like a consumer is always asking about Honeycrisp.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, because there was such a vested interest from a consumer standpoint, grower standpoint, they started doing some DNA testing, and they actually found out that one of the parents was Keepsake, which is a Minnesota numbered variety with a Northern Spy.
Oh.
So that's where Keepsake came from, but they actually don't know the other parent.
Oh,
So neither Macoun
hilarious.
or Honeygold were the parents.
So this is a single parent situation.
Yes. Forgotten.
I forgot.
Sorry. I'm sorry if that offended. You know, or is it just, you know, not wanting to take ownership?
Right, right. Classic. Classic Maury Povich situation.
Oh gosh. So yeah, I just thought it was very interesting
Yeah.
because like people are like wondering like from a breeding perspective how all these apples are coming about and
Yeah.
like where to get the you know the proper, well, not proper, but where to grab characteristics that you want and
Yeah.
how to cross them, but
Yeah,
the answer is very complex.
right. Because you
Okay.
don't know if you're actually going to get those characteristics when you cross them.
Right. And like Honeycrisp was, some people may not know this, but Honeycrisp was in a breeding program. So
Okay.
like the Minnesota numbered variety is like, it was in the variety trials.
Okay.
And then they found it in there, but it wasn't a purposeful crossing. That's why
okay.
they don't know the parent.
Right. They weren't actively following it.
Exactly.
Cool.
Okay. So basically, why am I bringing this forward? Well, it's because of mutants, obviously. So Honeycrisp was, you know, a lucky cultivar that happened.
Mhm.
And sometimes these kind of crosses happen naturally, but through mutation. So as we showed, the chimera is
Okay.
a type of mutation. The chimera is what Christy said, the beach ball
Yeah.
effect on the apples. But their chimera is a type of mutation, but mutation can also happen in like a limb or a bud, where you have a regular tree or a normal tree, but then you have a limb that has these apples that are, you know, they might mature sooner, or they might have a deeper coloring,
Right.
or they might taste a bit different.
Right.
So those are a type of mutation, and that's actually how we get sports.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very, very cool. With Gala, there's actually over 38 different sports of
Of
Gala,
Gala, really?
that are grown.
Okay.
And in Fuji, Gala, and that cultivar was discovered in 1965. So since 1965, there's over 38.
Over 38. Crazy. And so that's things
Sports.
like Brookfield Gala and
Royal Gala.
Royal Gala. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then Fuji is another one. I
Yeah.
don't know the year that Fuji was discovered, but there's over 90,
Holy.
which is
That's crazy.
wild.
But why? Because I mean, like with Gala, I mean, there is some, like Royal Gala is really well known, and that would be like they would, if you go to a grocery store, a lot of times you would see Royal Gala.
Mhm.
How come Fuji isn't broken down into some of that stuff?
So I think it's from our consumer market
Okay.
perspective. Like
Yeah.
Fuji was developed, I believe, in Japan.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if a lot of these sports are more consumer based
Okay.
within that region,
Yeah.
or for specific markets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what I
And the benefit to the different sports is, again, trying to kind of grab those ideal characteristics. So whether that's like color or timing of harvest or those sort of things, like that's why.
Yeah, so a lot of the times that these sports have come out, a lot of these sports are discovered by growers
Mhm.
because they're in the orchard,
Yeah.
they're seeing it, they're like, wow, this is different.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically what most of the sports are discovered based off of visuals,
Right.
because they are
'Cause it looks
found
different.
because they
Yeah.
look different.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that there aren't other reasons why you find a sport.
Right.
So those actual mutations are called somatic mutations. So that's when a single cell changes and then it mutates.
Mhm.
and changes the plant tissue. So those are actually a more stable kind of mutation. The sports are.
Okay.
So, but there are different kinds, and I
But
just wanted to go in.
stable as in like it, if you bud it, it stays the same. It's not that it's gonna.
Right.
Okay.
Compared to a chimera,
Mm.
which is a different type of mutation, which is unstable.
Okay.
So if you were to take genetic material from a chimera apple, it most likely will not go into the offspring.
Okay.
So I'll get into, you know, a little bit of detail with that.
Yeah.
But so basically the chimera, it has two different genetics,
Mhm.
right? And they're right beside each other. So within the chimera, so I guess I should start this off. We have mutations that is like covers a lot of different things.
Mhm.
Chimera is underneath that umbrella.
Okay.
Within the chimera, there's 3 different layers that could be affected from an apple standpoint,
Okay.
which is the first layer, L1. Talking about your spine now, just kidding. Is the epidermis.
Okay.
L2 is the flesh, so your cortex and your reproductive tissues.
Okay.
And then L3 is your vascular tissues. So it could affect all, it could affect 1, it could affect 2.
Okay.
So yes, the epidermis, you can tell by the chimera, that's the one that we're seeing today. It alters the skin color, or potentially the lenticel appearance.
Okay. Which is like the pore. Lenticel is the pore.
Yep. And then the L2 is the flesh, so it alters the internal color or the flesh texture. And then L3 is there's no visual change, but it's within the apple. So
okay.
a bit harder to tell.
So would that be like ripening time?
Yep.
That sort of stuff?
Yep.
Size?
Yep.
Okay.
So if any of those 3 layers are mutated, you would get what's commonly known as a chimera.
Mhm.
And those are actually termed the periclinal, mericlinal, and the sectoral chimera.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So the periclinal is the one layer is entirely changed. So if you have an apple that's like a completely different color, but on a tree,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Mericlinal is it only affects 1 layer. So it could be the skin, the flesh, or,
Right. Okay.
within. And then the sectoral is it's across multiple layers. So it could be the skin and the flesh.
Right.
And so the periclinal is very high stability. Those are what we commonly have as sports.
Okay.
And then the mericlinal is low stability, so that's patchy or striped, like the one that we have
Right.
today. And then the sectoral it's very low stability. Those are when you see like apples that are like half green, half red.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely rare.
Okay.
And they're very unstable.
Okay.
So yeah.
Unstable. Sorry, this is me again.
Mhm.
Trying to sort this out. When you say unstable, meaning if you were to take that genetic material,
Yes.
you're not going to continue to make fruit that are half red, half green.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you.
No, it's me just figuring it out.
No, we're all learning here.
Sometimes I have to walk it through.
Hey, I'm learning stuff too as I go through this. So, but yeah, so the mericlinal and the sectoral, they're actually, if you see like streaky apples, sometimes like that's technically a chimera.
Oh, really? Okay. Like some sports
Yeah.
gala tend to be like some of them
A
are
bit
really
more.
stripy and really whatever. Okay.
Yep. Sometimes those can be classified as that. So as I mentioned earlier, Gala and Fuji have quite a few different sports or mutants.
Mm-hmm,
And they're both believed to be periclinal because they're mostly stable,
Mhm.
and they can be replicated
Right.
to reproduce fruit that are similar or the same within that. Like Brookfield Gala is mostly going to be looking the same.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So why does that matter? Well, sports are pretty interesting where I think that they've given growers a bit of an opportunity to be more involved in like the breeding process
Mm,
from a standpoint,
Right.
right?
like when they find something.
when they find something.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting to know that we have all these different sports. We just heard an apple drop.
It's danger zone here with the apples dropping.
Yeah.
They're getting closer.
Keep a lookout.
Watch your head.
So yeah, I just like from a mutation sport perspective, I find it very interesting that like a lot of these sports have been found by growers.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to think that Gala is one of our largest apple cultivars.
Yeah.
And to know that there's over like almost 40 different sports. And a lot of these sports were found by growers,
That's
not
cool.
necessarily in North America or Canada,
Right.
but like they were
Yeah.
discovered
Yeah.
and have been commercialized.
That's cool.
I think like that's pretty rewarding
Yeah.
in that sense.
That's really cool. And in such a short period of time too, like the 60s,
yeah.
right? That many in such a short period of time.
Yeah, it's a very good apple. And then yeah, Fuji having over 90 is insane. Unsure if many growers have different sports of Fujis. I think I've heard of a few.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's never really one that like you always hear like a grower would refer to, oh, it's out in my Twin B block when they're talking about Gala.
Mhm.
But Fuji is always just Fuji.
Fuji, yeah. So if you want to comment a few different Fuji sports, I wouldn't
what
say
kind
no.
of Fujis do you grow?
Yeah, because I have Sun Fuji and Kiku Fuji.
Kiku.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which I haven't heard of.
So can I ask a random?
Hopefully I have an answer. But yeah.
So for the fact that there are so many sports in Gala and Fuji, does that mean that their genetic makeup is a little less stable than some of the others? Like that they're more prone to mutations?
Yeah, for the sport. Yep. So I would say like they're still doing genetic research on sports and what that all means. And I didn't do a deep dive into that. But yeah, if it's a sport, a periclinal sport, then that means that it's not as stable as the original. And I guess,
but to get to that point though, right? Like, cause I mean, Red Delicious, for instance, has been around for how long?
Mhm.
And how many different, like, are there a whole bunch of different sports of it as well? I mean, maybe it's people don't want Red Delicious, but
I think that there are a couple of different sports of Red Delicious, but I'm wondering if a lot of this is more like consumer driven or potentially, it could be. Like we only know 18% of the apple genome. So I'm wondering if, maybe Gala, like this is not factual. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there must be something in its genetic makeup to make it more.
It's just more prone.
Yeah, prone to do that.
Yeah.
And actually, I almost forgot about one of my points is the ghosting of growers.
Yeah. Okay, what does that mean?
Basically is we have these sports and sometimes they can revert. So you have apples that are like a very deep red, different apple sports, and then you see a limb or a tree that just goes back to
the original. That's hilarious.
So it's just ghosting growers. And as I said, like they are stable, but they're not like completely stable. They are still mutants. Spooky. So but basically like mutations are very natural. But yeah, some are more stable than others, and sometimes you can use it to your benefit.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah.
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah. Pretty neato mosquito.
Right? Thanks for answering the what is this question.
Oh, yeah.
They're always the most fun.
What is this? It's very open-ended, right? You just never know where it's going to take you.
Right? Especially when that photo's loading.
Oh,
You get
yeah.
the, what is this? And then you wait. Like, what's it going to be?
Mm. But yeah, I'll have to do a deeper dive on the actual genetics of Gala with how many sports it has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, but I mean, they look really visually intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
The beach ball vibe.
The beach
might
ball,
be
I
the
feel like
vibe.
that could, like, a person could market that really well.
You heard
Right?
it here first.
Yeah.
Trademark that.
Trademark.
Beach ball apple. So,
But because it doesn't affect the taste, it doesn't affect the quality, anything like that. It's just simply appearance.
well, depending on what type of
On what type.
chimera.
Right.
So the only way that you'd be able to tell is genetic testing.
Right.
And comparing the flesh.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
to see if it's, you know,
Like if it tastes the same.
if it's only L1 or if it's L1,
Oh.
L2,
3
L3.
or all 3. Okay.
Mhm.
Love
Pretty
it.
sweet. Yeah,
Nicely done.
thanks. Do we have any other spooky
Spooky.
topics?
No, no, we don't. Which is too bad.
Oh.
I don't know, but yeah, thanks for the update. The cider has been really welcoming because that sun it's got a good heat to it today. So
I'm
the
in
cider
the
is
shade.
refreshing. Oh, you are.
So-
Lucky. Okay, roles are reversed. I think I was in the shade last time.
Yeah.
But the cider has been nice. So that's
It has
Wellesley.
been.
And then just a reminder that the cider competitions are open
Mhm.
for registration. At least the sweet cider right now. Craft cider is coming by the end of October.
Yep.
And yeah, so take that in.
Continue to ask questions,
100%.
please. We really want it to be beneficial to our audience.
Yeah.
So
There's been some good ones coming in.
yeah, we like to cover our own topics, but we enjoy answering questions that
They're all
others.
questions we get.
Yes.
It's just when we choose to answer them.
Yes. Yeah. Some of them we want to be timely.
Yes.
So there's some that we're a bit holding on to. So if you haven't heard your question yet, we'll most likely get to it.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
that's great.
wanna Do closing.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining. Where answers grow on trees. I got it. I'm gonna get it one of these days.
Tagline number
One of
2.
these days,
We
it's
got
gonna
it.
just flow right off.
Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for joining. Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
Well,